Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first live stream of the week. And you know what that means? Time to gift some memberships. Here we go. By the way, tomorrow at noon, the Welcome to Dairy review embargo lifts, and my review is ready to go. Can't wait to discuss that with you. Look at Danny. Well, I know that's Danny. Thanks, Danny. Let me gift those memberships. Hold on. Here they come. Thank you, Rogue Frogger. And here come mine. Every week, you guys are an inspiration with your generosity. Alrighty, so we have a lot of really good stories to discuss today. Did I miss anybody else there? Yep. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we have some great stories to discuss today. We'll be going over these three. And then, of course, as always, at the end of the live stream, for the final 10 minutes, you can ask me anything that you would like. That's right, Roman. Soderbergh ain't never going to retire. He should stop bringing it up. But then I've seen some people talk about the fact that Quentin Tarantino's insistence on only making, 10 movies has really caused a problem for him, because he's like, what should be my final movie? And everyone's like, who cares at this point, Quentin? Just make one. Filmer, I'm glad today was your day off. I'm glad I caught you. Happy Tuesday to you too, Brad. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Sorry I was a few minutes late to the live stream. It's always, I gotta, prep the live stream, do my talking points. These have become more complex with all the photos that I upload, all the graphics. And then I gotta do my hair and makeup. And sometimes I'm like, my hair just doesn't look right. And so I gotta have the self-confidence for the live stream. So I apologize. And then sometimes I feel like I made my hair look worse accidentally. I'm like, oh no, it looked better the other way. What did I do? Everybody knows how that is. Oh, okay, so that's right, it's fashionably late. I'll tell you a story about being on time. I try to be on time. But when I was growing up, my mother was never on time, ever. She worked very hard to be on time, but she was usually late. And I always worked really hard to be on time. I'm still pretty good at being on time if I want to be. But, I just realized that, you get close enough, right? I do the best I can. So I apologize about that. I sometimes feel a little guilty that I try to keep it under 10 minutes. You guys are all very nice. You're very understanding. I appreciate it. Okay. All right. I'll tell you honestly, I'm usually like really early for like screenings and stuff, because you have to make sure you get a good seat. And also I know that I run late. I don't know if anybody does this, but since I know that I run late, I will often give myself like an earlier time that I have to leave, when I'm planning my schedule. I'll be like, oh, you better start getting ready 45 minutes before you actually have to leave. And I've found that has helped as well. You guys are really nice. You're making me feel a little better about sometimes keeping you waiting. Thank you. Shield says, sorry, I've been a quieter member over the years, but I never miss a video, and they're always the bright spot of my day. Thank you for all your hard work. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I know not everybody, I know some people like to watch. That's no problem. I think everybody should have the experience they want to have. But I'm very proud that this is like a pretty safe, open, and comfortable space. So know that if you ever want to be more participatory, it's always a happy, welcome place to do that. And you can always reach out, and everybody here is quite nice. So you don't have to worry about it. That's right, Josh. It is lovely here. It's lovely. It's lovely. When people started doing this heart thing, like when Vin Diesel was doing it, I was like, what's he doing? That's ridiculous. But I've come to really like it. I think it's adorable. It makes me happy. Okay. Let's do it. Oh, you have a new place, Dallas. That's exciting. All right, let's get started. We're getting distracted with all of our funness. Thank you, Brad. Okay, story number 1. Where is it? So many pictures. I even have a picture that I might use somewhere. I'm not sure. Where is it? Boop. Oh, look, I covered up Bob Iger's face. Hold on. Let me move it so you can see him. All right. I like, You know, there are better Kylo Ren photos, but I like that he and Steven Soderbergh were kind of similar, but yet facing different ways. I thought it looked really beautiful. I was like, ah, the symmetry is so gorgeous. All right, so yes, boopity boop boop boop, sad boop, because this would have been an amazing movie. So Adam Driver, who I agree, his career really sucks right now, but I feel it could be revived at any moment. People really like Adam Driver. Oh look, Yar got a membership. I love it. I should have used the shirtless Kylo Ren photo. That's pretty funny. There's, Kylo Ren. I didn't put it as a chapter time, but I'll say it. I think chapter time. I think Kylo Ren is such an incredibly popular character, and while Disney for some reason refuses to admit it, he's actually the only popular character that they created once they, in the new trilogy, right? Like they keep pushing Rey, and maybe some little girls do like Rey. Here's the thing. I'd like to like Rey. Like, I love a female Jedi. I think it's wonderful to have a female lead in Star Wars movies, but she's just like a really boring character. And no offense to Daisy Ridley, who I think is a wonderful, very charismatic, likable actress. But Kylo Ren was the sauce, right? I mean, think about it. We had that ridiculous shirtless scene where everybody was like, "What's happening?" But I can't look away. That wonderful more, gif that has become iconic. And then, of course, the wonderful sketches that he did on Saturday Night Live. Every once in a while, I will go back and watch Undercover Boss Starkiller Base. It was just so fantastic. So Kylo Ren is a great character. And, a lot of us thought that Adam Driver had run for the hills. As soon as he was done with this trilogy, he was like, get me out of here. But now, a lot of actors, when they're doing press tours for their smaller films, one for them, one for you. When they're promoting the one for you for themselves, they'll often go and talk about the ones for you so that you read the articles. Because, you don't care about the actual film that they're working on. So, Adam Driver, apparently enough time has passed, and he can now share he said, I wanted to come back. He and Elizabeth Olsen, that's right, Mystic. He and Elizabeth Olsen are like, we sure would like to reprise our much beloved characters, but for some reason, Disney doesn't want, like, legit money. It's so weird. Like, people are like, bring back Wanda, bring back Kylo Ren, and Disney's like, no. And you're just like, why not? These are the characters that we actually want. So he said, I love being Kylo Ren Ben Solo. I think the character is wonderful. And I would love to return. And in fact, he says, I pitched a movie. I wanted to do I think he said it was going to be potentially a whole trilogy. And it was going to be directed by Steven Soderbergh. He put together his own little package. And so let's talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about Steven Soderbergh a little bit later in the story. But he said, Adam Driver said that the story was going to be a reverse Darth Vader. I love that. So, of course, what he means by that is Darth Vader started out as a good guy, but then became a bad guy as his story progressed. And Adam Driver said that what he wanted to do was show a bad guy become a good guy, like Loki. They even have the same hairstyle and, kind of stuck-up personality. That's hilarious. But Loki's very popular. So yes, that's right. It was a Kylo Ren redemption arc. He wanted to morph from Kylo Ren back into Ben Solo. I think that would have been just really fantastic. I mean, in the poetry of it, his grandpapa, to follow in his footsteps, to follow him to being saved. Darth Vader was eventually saved as well. He's a happy Force ghost these days. So I think that was a really nice idea, while still giving us the cool, sweet Kylo Ren lightsaber action that we all know and love. Now, of course, also they could have done some stuff. You don't have to get rid of Daisy Ridley's Rey, because what about the Force Dyad? The coolest thing to come out of, the other coolest thing to come out of the trilogy. I remember watching Rise of Skywalker being like, oh yes, and by the way, I too was a Reylo shipper. I was like, I sense the chemistry between these two, and it is strong. I was all for them being together. I loved it. Couldn't get enough of it. And so for those reasons, Rise of the Skywalker wasn't horrible. So it was revealed that they were actually a Force Dyad, but then also in the Last Jedi, they had this, They had this, when they started to be a Force Dyad. That's a beautiful shot. Rian Johnson doesn't get enough credit for that. This is from The Last Jedi, right? But look at that. No, maybe it was from, I think this was from Rise of, right? The Last Jedi. I liked The Last Jedi. I gave it a good review. When Laura Dern sliced through that starship, loved it. Loved it so much. I thought the movie was really interesting. Although I love to deconstruct things. And I also have zero respect for Luke Skywalker. He's always been a whiny crybaby, in my opinion. So I wasn't upset when they were saying bad stuff about him. I was like, tracks for me. But like the Luke Skywalker people got really upset about that. So anyway, though, look at the beauty of that shot with the light and the dark. And look at Kylo Ren almost in shadow there and like a total yin yang. I mean, that's beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. So, yeah, Team Han Solo all the way to Alberto. And this is Han Solo Jr. I'll even forgive him for killing his dad. Hey, Wiki Nomad, which was super annoying and ruined that first movie for me. Who cares what Harrison Ford wants? It's not his franchise. So, yeah, so I think that they could have maybe done something interesting with the Force Dyad. I think that was a nice way to go. I mean, and add a new power set to the live action movies. And then, of course, oh, well, looky here. Who is in the Rise of the Resistance? Why, it's Mr. Kylo Ren. Sure, Rey shows up in the queue as a hologram, but who's in the attraction? It's Kylo Ren. I rode this over the holidays, 4th of July, when I was back at Disney World. It's a pretty good ride, but Kylo Ren is definitely the highlight. Like, not only do they have this animatronic that doesn't always work, but they have this cool projection within the ride where he comes after you. He jumps down and his lightsaber lights up and he's like, I'll capture you myself. And you're like, oh no, don't capture me. Hee hee. Oh, I tripped on something. I guess I won't be getting away. Oh, it's fantastic. It's really, really great. So I think, like, clearly this is a very popular character. All right. So, right, everybody knows what I'm talking about. And for once, it wasn't Kathleen Kennedy's fault. She's like, it wasn't me, everybody. I didn't do it. I said yes. I'm not an idiot. When Adam Driver said I want to make a Steven Soderbergh movie, I said yes. Is it too late? That's a good question, Paul. Maybe not. I don't know if Adam Driver and Steven Soderbergh still want to do it. I mean, probably they would ask for a lot more money. So you'd have to pay for the delay. You might be like, add another zero. And you'll be like, another half a zero? Like 500? Come on, man. All right. And he's like, shouldn't have said no. But yeah, Kathleen Kennedy actually said yes. Good for her. Good for her. All right. But it was Bob Iger apparently that said no. What stupidity has happened here? And apparently it's because he said, I can't understand how your character would come back because he was killed. And the internet immediately said, well, what the heck did you make us sit through all the Palpatine stuff for? You literally reanimated his dead corpse. And then even Oscar Isaac could barely say the line of somehow Palpatine has returned. It's become a meme because it was so dumb. And, but I think my guess would be that there was such a bad reaction to Palpatine coming back that they were concerned that it would be a similar situation. But you have to understand, the brilliance of Kylo Ren is that he very much represents the Star Wars fan today, right? What is maybe labeled as toxic masculinity, but is actually just a man in pain, okay? Right? Like, oh, he seems like he's a real problem, but if you get to know him, you can understand that he's actually not so bad. And so I think that's one of the reasons the character's connected. And then they made him pretty like, he's got that special something, so he appeals to everybody. Adam Driver is really well cast for that reason. That's the whole reason that Adam Driver was successful on the show Girls, even though they had his character doing crazy stuff. There's just some quality about him. That's right. He's a real fixer-upper, Alberto. You're like, he's a mess, but Daddy, I can fix him, hilarious. Okay, so anyway, he's a great character. And I think that they were concerned that it would be a similar, pushback like what happened with Palpatine. But I think when you resurrect a character, like for instance, if Captain America were to somehow come back, I don't think a single person would be like, well, how did that, make that make sense? Everybody's like, you said it, I don't care if it makes sense, too late, don't take backsies. And I think that's the same thing, right? Let me ask you who the best character from the sequels is. Hold on, wait a minute. Let's do a poll. I know you guys like a poll. Favorite character from the Disney trilogy. Oh no, favorite Disney Star Wars character. All right, let's do Kylo Ren. Rey. Oh, I'm going to make it hard though. The Mandalorian. And then Grogu. Ho, 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 ho. And by the way, anyone who's watching can vote. You don't have to be a member to vote. Anyone can just click on the poll and vote. I made it difficult. Didn't make it easy for you. So let's see what everybody votes for. Because, of course, Grogu's also getting a movie. But Grogu's a puppet, and you don't have to pay him anything. Bob Iger's like, I'm going to pick the puppet that has no salary. Okay, that's pretty funny. All right, let's keep going, though, while you guys vote. All right, so then Steven Soderbergh. I'd be a little nervous about Steven Soderbergh. Let's revisit the career of Steven Soderbergh. Ahsoka's great, Stasis, but that's not a Disney character. That was created by Filoni back on the Clone Wars animated series. And I don't think that was pre-Disney's purchase, I believe. I think. I can't put Omega in there. I've only got 4 spots. I mean, there's a lot of other people I could have put in. Okay, hold on. One second. Steven Soderbergh. I got all his posters lined up here. All right, let's talk about it. So, of course, Steven Soderbergh broke into the Hollywood scene back in the day with Sex, Lies, and Videotape. It was his very first directorial debut, very first movie that he ever did. Big hit. Got a lot of attention for him. It was one of those breakout things where you just are like, wow, who's this guy? Then, of course, Out of Sight was his first somewhat commercial film, and it actually really helped the careers of both George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez. It was one of those sexy film noirs. And George Clooney at the time had been considered mostly a television star. Yeah, that's right, Andie MacDowell. And this was a big movie for James Spader as well. This was particularly big for James Spader, helped put him on the map. All right, but anyway, so yes, George Clooney had helped make him look like a movie star. And so this was a really big deal for him. Then, of course, what a year did Steven Soderbergh have with Erin Brockovich, which, of course, won the Oscar for Julia Roberts. And that's right, Danny. Traffic, same year. These movies came out the same year, and they were both huge Oscar contenders. So you've got Steven Soderbergh with 2 big Oscar movies that year. That's incredible. Same year. That's amazing to me. All right, then Ocean's 11, his most commercial and I think most successful film to date. I rewatch this every couple of years. It's fantastic. I don't think Steven Soderbergh has ever directed anything of this caliber beforehand or since. Even the other Ocean's movies that he directed. But this is really, really strong. I'd be like, hey, Steven, what's the likelihood of you making your Kylo Ren movie like this? You know, because I'd be really worried about the other movies I might get from him. So Contagion is also one of his most famous films. And in fact, what makes it particularly famous is, did anybody watch this during the pandemic? Right when the pandemic started, everybody decided to watch Contagion because, darn it, you know, Steven Soderbergh had really done his research as to what would happen if there was a contagion outbreak. And the movie is ridiculously prophetic as to what actually happened with COVID. So it was an amazing experience to sit and watch that. It was terrifying, actually. So yeah, that movie I think has a special place for a lot of people because of that. Then, of course, Magic Mike. Everybody was like, how did Channing Tatum get Steven Soderbergh to direct his striptease movie? But it did really, really well. And it was a big hit and it became like a pop culture sensation. He did the sequel, which didn't turn out as well. Now, this is Steven Soderbergh's most recent movie. Good Lord, this was an awful film. I mean, it's a gorgeous looking movie. And I mean, look at those glasses on Michael Fassbender. Oh, I love him, especially because they look like my glasses. I'm like, nice choice, buddy. But the movie itself was just truly awful. And in fact, most of Steven Soderbergh's recent movies have been terrible. And so I would be very nervous. I guess I'd have to read the script, which of course Bob Iger would be able to do. And I'd say, I'm not approving this if it doesn't have at least 4 action sequences. Like, that's it. You got to have 4 action sequences, or I'm not greenlighting it. I don't want to have a whole lot of discussions, you know, because Adam Driver's making a lot of crap too. So look at you guys defending Steven Soderbergh. What are you, Steven Soderbergh's agent? Let's see here. I mean, I'm glad you liked these movies, but they made 0 money. Like, almost no money, you know? Like, they had to pay you to watch them, practically. I'm not saying he's not still talented, but he's not a commercial director. So I think like that would make me very nervous to hand him my Ben Solo movie. I'd be like, good Lord, how much heavy lifting can the second unit do? I mean, Marvel used to feel that the second unit could fix all their problems. They're like, don't worry, the second unit's going to come in here and do all your action sequences. But that has not worked out well for them. Let me close the poll. I saw somebody who said, close the poll. All right, let's see. The answer is pretty shocking. Look at that. The Mandalorian and Kylo Ren are tied. Oh, the movie's looking good. The movie's looking good. Bob might have chosen wisely after all. Then Grogu right behind it. Well, he's 24%, and poor Rey. Some of you actually voted Rey, which is really nice. I wouldn't get rid of Rey, but I don't think she needs her own movie. What are they going to do, like Obi-Wan Kenobi her? I don't know. I think she's too young to be Obi-Wan Kenobi'd. So we'll see. I don't know. I would like Rey to get a good chance. I mean, it's not the actress or the character. It's just the writing is just so freaking boring. But yeah, so I think that's hilarious that the Mandalorian and Kylo Ren are tied. Maybe they should be in a movie together. I'd be like, ooh, let me do that. So that's great. That's really cool. All right. So then the other thing I wanted to talk about is the Disneyfication of Star Wars. So this used to be a boy brand that skewed a little older, even though little boys liked it, right? But a lot of big boys liked it. You ever remember that Saturday Night Live fake commercial? Remember how funny that was? When they had little boys playing with the new Star Wars toys, and then the adults who were like, it's fun to leave them in the box, right? That was really funny. I thought that was good. So I think that Disney has really Disneyfied the Star Wars. Like, look at the upcoming Star Wars movies that are coming out. You have whatever the heck this is that looks so Disney. And then this, The Mandalorian and Grogu. I thought the trailer was a little weak, but I am excited about this. I've enjoyed The Mandalorian and Grogu. I've enjoyed The Mandalorian show. I mean, a couple episodes were a little out of place, but I still enjoyed them. But yeah, but this is a very all ages, very child-friendly approach to the property. Whereas when you compare that to the idea of a Steven Soderbergh, Adam Driver, redemption arc for Kylo Ren, that is a very different approach. Very, very different approach. Maybe they feel there's not as much money there, which I can kind of understand, They might feel that there would be limited appeal. But I'd be like, I think Kylo Ren appeals to everybody. And if there's a lot of lightsaber action in it, I think it would do well. I really do. But let's see. Let's see how The Mandalorian and Grogu performs. So that's my thoughts on this story. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions that they'd like to share before we talk about Warner Brothers yet again? Someday it shall be sold, and I believe that someday is soon. But let me first answer your questions here. PJ Plum Sparkle says that Star Wars is so toxic that Iger is looking for a new audience. That would be a huge mistake. Why would you throw out the audience that you had, which was the whole reason he wanted to buy it? I don't think I think everybody used to like Star Wars, so who's left? Let's see here. Riley says, as a Raylo, I was so mad when he died. Their lightsaber battle and the kiss were great. They were, weren't they? Put him in the Rey movie and I'll be much more interested. Oh, that's a good idea, Riley. I think that would be great. Josh, I'm glad you feel like covered all the angles to that story. I love it. Let's see here. GP says, Kylo Ren movie would be awesome, but Disney says the best we can do is Starfighter. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Starfighter will be good. Juan says Disney's biggest villain was streaming. That's, you know, potential. I don't know. I don't know how much money they're making from subscriptions, though. They might be laughing all the way to the bank. Babette says, will Mando and Grogu hit $1 billion? Right now, my guess is no. Because, like, my family has no interest in seeing it. Like, my family was all in on Lilo and Stitch. They were like, it can't get here fast enough. But I showed them the Mandalorian and Grogu trailer, and they were like, oh, for babies. Steven says, Padme and Leia were heroic characters who still had Barbie fashion that appeals to the girls and the gays. Wonder if Rey not having that hurt her appeal some. That she wasn't fabulous. You know, even Luke Skywalker became fabulous with his all-black ensemble, leather boots, leather glove, flowing cloak. It was pretty sweet. He looked fantastic. Supermodel turn, baby. Danny says, would I have liked a Ben Solo movie? Would have been first in line. I'm a huge Kylo Ren fan. Would have been there for sure. I've been an Adam Driver fan since Girls, but I must tell you that his movies lately have been awful. Just so bad. I haven't watched a lot of them. I think it might have been Ferrari that broke me. I was like, this movie's just so bad. Tamed the 3 bears. I'm glad you made it. Paul says, bring the remaining Rebels characters into the Mando movie and give Ezra some lightsaber. But yeah, where is Ezra? And it will print money and not feel as Disney-ish. Yeah, I would really love... the Star Wars Rebels, the animated series, has the best Star Wars fights I've ever seen. And also, you guys talked about Omega, and they talked about her joining the Resistance when they fast-forwarded at the end of... that series, that animated series. And I would love to see that actress who voices Omega stick on a blonde wig and jump into live action. I think that would be fabulous. So I'm just waiting for that to happen. Let's see. Billy says they oversaturated Star Wars. Make a movie every 2.5 years, an event. That's true. Yeah, I think that, you know, some of the franchises, I think Avatar will be a big test, having waited about 2 or 3 years. Faye says, Kylo Ren and Wanda, and they say no, but they're like, more Robert Downey Jr.? That's funny. Well, people do like Robert Downey Jr. You know, it's funny. Kylo Ren and Wanda have a lot of similar qualities, not just the attitude of their actors who play them, but the characters themselves. That's interesting. Danny says, who would be your director choice for a Ben Solo movie? I'm interested in Steven Soderbergh. I'm interested in that, but only if he would agree to intense oversight. I'd be like, I'll hire you, Steven, but I have to sit right next to you every day, or once a week I have to come, and I'd probably ask him to storyboard it and let me see what he had planned. I think there's too many times where someone just goes, what do you want to do, Steven? I'd be like, no, I need to know what you want to do. I mean, I'm excited to be excited with you, Steven Soderbergh. You know, like, it's not a negative. Help me help you, right? Like, you don't want to make a horrible Star Wars movie. Look how long it took Rian Johnson to come back from that. J.J. Abrams still hasn't recovered. And he made 2 films that made $1 billion, and people still are saying bad stuff about him. Rian Johnson's movie made $1 billion, and it was still bad for his career. Jimmy says, had to hop on while students are taking a test. Oh, that's great. To say, yay, first comment as an official member. Yes, that's right. You just joined. Good luck with your class. Let's see here. Future movie actor says, Hollywood seems to have this arrogance and pride that they aren't able to realize when decisions are questionable when audiences tell them that. Well, what did Wiki Nomad do? Why is everybody saying something? Hold on. Let me go back. Okay. I will just say, oh, no, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so... it's really Dallin. Oh, Dallin, that's your name there. Okay, so Dallin says, as someone who adores powerful female characters with equally incredible wardrobes, Rey's biggest problem was only wearing beige and gray. That's true. She was a gray Jedi eventually, right? So I guess so. But I think you're right. She should have looked a little bit more fabulous. Sometimes her hair was very tragic. Let's see. Oh, yes, future movie actor about audiences telling people stuff. I think that's why you're starting to have them soft test things to the audience. And then the internet goes, that's dumb, like not playing Stranger Things in movie theaters. And that's why, of course, we have our third story of the day. Now, let me see what Wiki Nomad says. Grace, today's my birthday, and I just wanted to say thank you for the videos that you post. I love waking up to reviews, love the lives, and the BTT community. I just want to write Right? The more, but I'll just say, get some. Oh, you're giving me some chicken nugget money. I love it. Thanks, Wiki Nomad. That's a lot of chicken nugget money. That's like, I think, 2 to 3 chicken nuggies. I love it. That's very sweet of you to give me something on your birthday. So happy birthday. I hope you're having a great day, and I'm really glad I get to be a part of it. That's awesome. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Birthday to you. Let's see here. You're very sweet, everybody, to wish a happy birthday. I am not a singer. Okay, Plum Sparkle says, Grace, just look at how kid-friendly Starfighter and Mando and Grogu look. This seems to me an attempt to find a new younger audience, like MCU X-Men. Kids want the adult stuff. I mean, all kids love it when they're like, should I be watching this? You know, like, that's the ticket. Let's see here. Look at all the birthday wishes to Wiki Nomad. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Let's see here. Bubbles says, Bubbles, thank you for giving a membership. That's very nice. Oh, look, you guys are all being so nice to me. But I think that means it's time to move on to the next story. Today's story, you guys like this channel. That makes me very happy. Yay. Oh, wow. Thank you, Echelon Angel 15. I like your Maleficent picture there. Happy Diwali to you too, Sean. Okay, let's get to the next story. Diwali's a beautiful holiday. I see it's starting to catch on in the United States. Okay, story number 2. That's right, Ryan. Boop. Let's talk Zazzy. He's adorable. He looks like a little boy going to school. Whenever he goes to these executive conferences, it's adorable. Go make some friends. Oh, I packed you some extra snacks in your lunch so you can use them to make friends. That's what he looks like. It's so cute. But Zazzy doesn't want snacks. He wants money. All right, so that's right. It's Zazzy, Zazzy, yeah, he's waving goodbye. He's waving goodbye. He's waving hello and goodbye, and he's going to leave with a bunch of money. But yeah, Zazzy's, he's playing games. He's flirting up a storm because he's looking for a suitor. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on here. Where'd my arrow go? There it is. By the way, Warner Brothers is having an incredible year, and I saw somebody post this fan-made poster for Warner Brothers in 2025, and I loved it. I think it's made by somebody named Plum Sparkle. Oh, is that you, Plums? No, Pixie Dust. Pixie Dust. Look at that poster. It's a thing of beauty. It's gorgeous, and I think it really speaks to the quality of Warner Brothers. And I continue to be extremely sad that somebody else is going to buy Warner Brothers and that Warner Brothers will be digested by somebody else. Damn it, Warner Brothers should be doing the buy-in. Warner Brothers is such an iconic studio. Thank God there's no AI. I didn't even think that there might be AI in that. Woo! But yeah, the studio's in really good shape. So let's talk about what's going on. So it's official. I've been telling you since Warner Brothers was sold from AT&T to Discovery that Zazzy's job was to flip it. And it's hard to flip. This is one heavy turkey. Saddled with debt. And Zazzy just couldn't find a spatula big enough. So he decided, as we've been discussing, to split it in 2. But there's such a IP war, arms race going on right now in Hollywood that people want this. The Ellisons, I think everybody was waiting for the split, but the Ellisons have made it that people are like, whoa, we might lose Warner Brothers. And create a monster, another monster. So that's what's going on. So let's discuss. So yes, this morning Warner Brothers officially announced that they're for sale. All right, line up, gentlemen. All right, and they are going to explore their options, right? That means that they're going to start seeing who would give the best payoff for the shareholders, because that's, of course, who Zazzy's ultimately answerable to. So he wants to, and himself, and John Stankey over at AT&T, who still owns stock. So they're going to take a look and see, what would be the best deal for them, right? And the question is, are they going to do a half or a wholesale? They had wanted, again, to chop the company up to make it more manageable and to offer the debt to the worst part. But now, since Paramount said they'd buy the whole enchilada, other companies apparently are like, well, maybe we will too, because we don't want to lose out on the IP. So why now? Why did Zazzy make this announcement now? Well, the Wall Street Journal reported it's because Paramount made a second offer. The Ellisons, they made that first lowball offer. Well, you always start with a lowball. That's how you negotiate. You always come in with a low offer. Maybe they'll take it, but just to kind of set the playing field. But Zazie was like, no. And then apparently the Ellisons came back in and they said, okay, how about a little bit higher? But apparently it's still under 30. The stock is going up with the because everybody knows that there's going to be a sale. So more and more people are buying stock to get in on that. But so the Ellisons made a second bid just a few days ago, apparently, and Warner Brothers said no yet again. And so I think that Warner Brothers is making it official that they're for sale to not only say, I think they're doing it for two reasons. One, to really light a fire under the Ellisons, to say, you've got competition. Give me a price I like, or you might not get this. And then two, to let everybody else know, this is it. The Ellisons are going to get this unless you come in here and make an offer. Hey, Steven, I hope you're doing well. So that's the reason. Sean, that has nothing to do with what we're discussing. I don't think you're going to see Batgirl ever. All right, so don't worry, I'll answer your questions about this at the end of this section. So Warner Brothers, why is everybody there's such a fire to buy Warner Brothers? Well, it's tremendously valuable for that IP. IP is the name of the game these days, all right? So they have incredible IP. I believe that's the most valuable thing that they have to offer, right? So much IP. Game of Thrones, DC, Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat. Look at that poster, horror. They're doing incredible in the horror space. Now they have Minecraft, Dune. My God, it's just so much IP. It's incredible. I feel that the only other company that has as good IP is Disney. So whoever gets this will be able to compete with Disney. I love that you threw Euphoria in there, Oyster Bay. That's adorable. Barbie's not exclusive to Warner Brothers anymore. You remember they're doing a Universal, I think, has the animated movie with Illumination. But anyway, whoever gets Warner Brothers will be on par with Disney in terms of being a juggernaut in the space. Then, yes, HBO. I think HBO is the crown jewel of streaming. Whoever gets HBO, it's going to be huge for them. Just could not be a better purchase. Then the news divisions, CNN. CNN is, as much damage as has been done to CNN in the last presidential election, CNN is still a sterling brand. People like to call stuff sterling in the industry. Sterling, or Tiffany. Yeah, I think Tiffany is the term. It's a Tiffany brand. Like, that thing's been around for decades. It's CNN, right? As James Earl Jones used to say. It's an amazing brand. That and HBO are just incredible. Then gaming. Warner Brothers has a very strong gaming division. It's had some issues. It's gone through a little bit of a shakeup, but it would be an ability to get into gaming right away, right? Instead of having to make deals, you already have some stuff up and running to a degree. So that's very valuable as well. All right, so I'm worried about I'm very sad that Warner Brothers is one of the original Hollywood studios. And, I was talking actually to my dad this morning about this. He was like, oh, look, it's in the Wall Street Journal, just like you were telling me about. And he said, it'll still be around. It'll still be its own thing. And I was like, when's the last time you heard anything about Fox? And he was like, oh, yeah. So it's pretty scary stuff. The Warner Brothers is just such an iconic, historic brand. I think it should be illegal, but nothing's illegal these days. We're in a free-for-all as a society. You know what governs it? Can anybody make money off of it? And there's a lot of money to be made here. So let's talk about the likely suitors in order. Okay. I think the top is the Ellisons at Paramount. And I have to tell you, I think they're going to get it. I think that they will get it. I'd be shocked if the Ellisons didn't get Warner Brothers. Because as I said, just last week, when we were discussing their initial bid, that news had broken, the Paramount deal is really not worth as much if they don't get Warner Brothers. If they don't get Warner Brothers, they are just going to be what Paramount was, which is a low on the totem pole studio. But if they get Warner Brothers, they become Disney level. So I think that it's just not, it's just going to take, it's like a shortcut. You know, it's going to take too long. Like it could take David Ellison, the younger Ellison, it could take David Ellison's entire life to do what he might be able to do in one single deal if he's able to buy Warner Brothers. So I believe they will buy it. They're also an extremely aggressive family. I mean, they fired Stephen Colbert. They don't care that the Late Show, and they ended the Late Show to do it. Talk about another historic institution, you know, and they were like, we don't need it, because we really hate Stephen Colbert, because he said he called our payout a bribe. So the Ellisons are like really aggressive people. So they'll get it. They own Java? Do they own Java? No wonder they have so much money. I mean, nobody knows what Oracle does, but if they own Java, that's quite a bit of money. So I do believe that they will get it. And I believe all you're seeing, all of this theater, they do own Java. That's nuts. How can you own Java? All right. So anyway, Java the Hutt. That's pretty funny. You guys are pretty funny. All that you're seeing from David Ellison, I believe, is just theater to get the Ellison number up. Hey, Nurse Brad. That's a great name. Thank you very much. I believe that's what that's what David Zaslav is doing. David Zaslav is doing everything that he can, because remember, he's a very savvy negotiator himself, to get that Ellison bid up to where he wants it. He's going to make him sweat. You know, that's the hallmark of a good deal, where nobody's happy. That's one of my favorite quotes. You know, when you have a good compromise, when nobody's happy with it, that means everybody got what a pretty good amount. So I always think that's funny. So yes, I think that the Ellisons and Paramount will get it. I'd be really surprised if they didn't. I think Comcast, for a very long time, Comcast was the only potential buyer. And I think they got too comfortable. We don't know if we want Warner Brothers. We're already kind of arguing with Disney over the value of Hulu. Do we really need it? Comcast was somebody that people thought was going to buy Warner Brothers when Zazie first bought it. When AT&T was unloading Warner Brothers, there was a lot of discussion back then that Comcast would take it instead, but they didn't. And they just have not, they just dragged their feet. And I don't think they're going to be able to put together the kind of cash they need to buy it like the Ellisons. They might make an offer, but I suspect Zazie will only use their offer to push up the Ellisons. That's my thoughts on it. I think that fans would like Comcast to have it above everybody else. I think that Comcast has the theme parks. I think they've done a wonderful job with the IP that they do have. I think that, it would make, speaking of being like Disney, it would really be like Disney, because they'd have the theme park angle as well. And Universal's aggressively expanding in that area, building a UK park, a park in Texas. They could really use that IP. But I don't think, but they are runner-up. I think that, maybe they'll, it would be important to them as well. I think that, again, Disney's clearly in first place because of all the IP that they have. And if Paramount gets Warner Brothers and combines, then Universal will fall to third place. And that would be really bad for them. And they would then be too small a little bit, at least in the movie and TV space. So I think that that's also probably maybe making Comcast a little bit nervous now. Netflix is apparently still in it. Netflix says they're not publicly. They're like, we like to build our own stuff, and they're not at all in the theatrical space. But that's a changing, as we're going to discuss with the next story. And they too desperately need IP. Netflix is slowly becoming the company they swore they never would be. We're going to talk about KPop Demon Hunters in a moment, but they've never had hits as big as they're having now. I think KPop Demon Hunters even eclipses the hits of Stranger Things, to be honest with you, because the merch drive, it's just an incredible, KPop Demon Hunters is going to transform Netflix as a company. Wait till we talk. I'll just tell you now, I guess. K-Pop Demon Hunters is going back to theaters. It's repaired the deal with AMC, so it's going to be in theaters twice. It's the #1 Halloween costume of the year, and they just today signed a deal with Mattel and Hasbro to make toys. Oh yeah, that's right, and the music, of course, and it's going to be an Oscar winner probably. So K-Pop Demon Hunters is a pivotal time in the history of Netflix. And so, a lot of us are concerned that if Netflix were to buy Warner Brothers, what would happen to the movie space? Because they don't release films in theaters. But maybe Warner Brothers would become Netflix's theatrical division. That's not bad, right? Because, Netflix is getting into the theme park space to a degree themselves with Netflix House, which is just about to open in Philadelphia. Tickets on sale now. Opens November 12th. So you can go to Philly House and experience the Netflix things. Plum Sparkle says Netflix would just roll Warner Brothers into Netflix. But it would be, no, I don't think so, because they would want to have all that infrastructure. They'd have instant infrastructure to release films in theaters. And I never thought of that before, that potentially Netflix could do that. And that makes me kind of maybe like the Netflix deal a little bit more and think maybe the Netflix deal is a real possibility. Maybe they're just saying things publicly to ward off, to keep the price down maybe, and to not tip their hand. Although I have to tell you, I saw a very scary headline today that Amazon is looking, well, Amazon denies it, but Amazon might be looking to get rid of 500,000 jobs, 500,000 jobs with robots and AI. And, Netflix is a very similar type of company. Netflix runs a lot of stuff through the algorithm. And I think there's a little bit of a concern, like what would they, but I mean, they're doing a pretty good job. Netflix still puts out great content. So I'm not really ready to, be disparaging in that front. But yeah, I think that, before I was like, what the heck are they going to do with Warner Brothers? But now I'm like, man, I think I could see what they could do with Warner Brothers. So, and Netflix has a heck of a lot of money. They have tons of money. They could snatch it up from the Allisons. That would be very interesting. Apple has said they would prefer to build their own, and they are building their own. Apple is very successful. Apple doesn't need it to do it. I don't think Apple's truly in the mix. It hasn't really been mentioned too much. Same for Amazon. They've already spent a ton of money on MGM United Artists and the Bond franchise. They don't need Warner Brothers. And then also, there's the last instance of maybe there could be a surprise buyer. Maybe there's someone we haven't heard of. Maybe someone tweeted me earlier today, there's a hedge fund out there that's going to buy it themselves. Is it going to be you, Danny? Are you going to be the surprise buyer of Warner Brothers? I love it. Let's one of the fans crowdfund and go in there and buy it ourselves. That'd be hilarious. Thank you, Wiki Nomad. Oh, on your birthday, no less. Hey, Tom. I'll answer that question in a second. Yeah. So there could be a surprise buyer in the mix that's not already a studio. And perhaps, that would be wonderful because then Warner Brothers would maintain its identity. But I don't see that happening. It would be nice, but I don't see that happening. All right. Any questions or comments about this story before we go to the third story of the day? And I did see one from Tom who says, why can't Disney gobble up Warner Brothers? Make Disney great again. Are you saying that because it's a conservative, the Ellisons are conservative? Warner Brothers is a conservative, and Zazzy's going to leave, and he's not that conservative. I think Zazzy just likes a good deal. And I think there ain't nothing that would keep him from one. Politics aren't going to slow him down. Thank you, classic movie lover. That's a very nice thing to say. I think Disney is already too big, and they have a lot of problems. I think Disney's fine. Disney's too big. And also, I don't think that would be approved by the government. Ty Grass says Amazon needs to keep humans after Monday. Oh, because because their thing went down. I don't know. Maybe a computer wouldn't have made that mistake. I don't know. Juan says, what about the people buying EA games? Well, that's Jared Kushner and somebody else, the Saudis. EA games, is it that? I think it's not as much as you have to pay for Warner Brothers. Steven says merch sales probably worth a lot for brands like DC. That's true, Steven. That's an excellent point. Think of the merch sales. Think of the merch sales. Think of the merch sales, right? Let's see what else. Oh, let me do a poll. Let me ask you who you'd like to see buy Warner Brothers. Who would you like to see buy Warner Brothers? Ellison's? Paramount? Somebody's got to buy it, Maze, because Zazzy wants to sell. Ellison's, Paramount, Comcast, Universal. Netflix. I think those are the only real options. All right, we'll just do those. And by the way, anyone who's voting again can vote in a poll. Anyone who's watching can vote in a poll. The state of Florida, Mystic. That's hilarious. We haven't heard from, what's their governor's? Ron DeSantis. Oh, he's not in the news enough. I forgot his name. Let's see here. Zetas says the conservative buyouts of these studios signals the death of art. Well, I don't know about that necessarily. Let's see what happens. It's, you know, I told you the conservatives are paying attention and learning, and you know they're gonna, you know, I don't think that the liberals are paying enough attention to that element. Jesse says, would they combine streaming services? Yeah, I think so. They'd have to, because you know how many. I was getting kind of. I mean, HBO just raised their prices today. It's ridiculously expensive. Wiki Nomad points out that the Warner Brothers and Paramount studio lots are iconic. I hope they are not destroyed. Wouldn't that be disgusting? Disgusting. Yeah, the Fox lot is destroyed, which is disgusting. Paramount and Warner Brothers, though, are particularly iconic. The Warner Brothers lot is magical. Magical. Oh, that's just really sad. Roman says, when Warner Brothers was bought out last time, they cleaned house at HBO when another content purge happened. Well, let's see. You know, the Ellisons really want content, so they're not going to get rid of it. But, you know, everyone's going to streamline. Everyone has spent a lot of money, so they want to lower operating costs. And, you know, I'm sad to say that the Ellisons just bought Paramount, and later this week or next week, they're going to fire a ton of people. So it would be a real concern. Oh, let's see here. Steven says, I want Universal so I can get Barbie Land. That would be great. Danny says, what will happen with Gunn's universe? Well, I think it depends on who purchases it, and I also think it depends how the next few projects do. He can't keep having it. He can't have any more Peacemakers. He's had Creature Commandos and Peacemakers. He's had 3 out of 2 fail. I mean, 2 out of 3 fail. He can't keep doing this. I mean, I hope that's a wake-up call to him. Let's see here. Morph says it's conservatives that help fund the arts. Yes and no. Let's see here. Homogeneous Jasmine Green Tea. That's a funny name. I did see the Apple Peacock streaming deal. I did. So many. It's too many streaming services. It basically is more expensive cable. Ron says Warner Brothers dropped the ball in the Wizarding World in DCEU movies and shows. They cared about their investors and directors and not the audience, and it's time to pack up. You hope that Universal will buy it. That would be great. I'm not sure who I would like to buy it, to be honest with you. I think, like from a news perspective, what's the juiciest story? It would be Ellison's or Netflix. I think, as in what's best for the studio itself, probably Netflix, because maybe Warner Brothers could maintain its identity. You know, it would become the theatrical arm of Netflix. That would make me kind of feel nice. But I think that Comcast Universal would be the best for fans, because it would go into the theme parks, which would really make people so happy. Can you imagine if Wicked Land and Barbie Land were next to each other? I mean, it would be ridiculous. Plum Sparkle says, hey, anyone can build a frickin' theme park, thank you very much. They can, but it takes a long time to build a whole theme park. You know, Universal already has them up and running. You know, you just have to add extra lands. All right, one more moment, and then we're going to go to the third story of the day. Oh, it's a long stream today. It's a long one. Let's see here. Okay. BTT World, thanks, I don't care, Bear, will ride the box office up and down, up and down. All right, who would you like to see buy Warner Brothers? Comcast Universal, 55%. Wow, people really want those theme park rides. Netflix, 30%, and then only 15% of you do want to see it go to the Ellisons. All right, let's see what happens. As I tweeted earlier today, I predict that Warner Brothers will settle on a buyer by the end of the year. Things, in fact, could happen very quickly. It could happen before Thanksgiving. Let's see. I do think it'll happen very quickly, but it would take almost a year or so to finalize the deal. But I think that you'll have a buyer settled on. As I said, I think it's going to happen very quickly. Big League Chew says, Grace, is it possible someone could purchase without merging with another studio? Well, yes, that would be the surprise buyer. You know, somebody who's not already a studio themselves, but would like to get into the movie business. Isaac says, this week? That's a little too fast, maybe. I mean, let me put it this way. The Ellisons have, in the span of a month, because, you know, we're getting these news, we're finding out about it a little late. The Ellisons have already made 2 offers, right? And in quick succession. So the Ellisons want this studio. And now, today, Zazie just lit a fire under them. And he was like, oh, I'm opening it up to anybody. He's no longer having a private conversation with the Ellisons. And so I think the Ellisons are not going to want to have to get into a bidding war with other companies. So I think that hopefully, I think what Zaslav wants to have happen, and what I would probably do if I were the Ellisons, is you're so proud of Zazie, J. Jonah Jameson. He is very much like you. But I would want to close this deal. I don't want to play any more games. I don't want somebody else to come in and take it away from me. So I would just say, here's your $30 a share offer. I think that's what they want. Let me just double check. I think that's what they said. The Wall Street Journal's behind a damn paywall, so who the heck knows for sure. I think 30 is, where did I see it? Maybe it was CNN. 1 second. Sometimes my internet, my Wi-Fi goes out on here. I can't. 1 second. There we go. Okay. I can't find it. I think it's $30. I think that's where they want it. But I'm not overpaying for Warner Brothers. Thank you very much. I'm not overpaying for it, but I don't want to do this dance anymore. So really, you know, I'd ask my lawyers and I'd say, what number is going to put this to bed? I don't want to do this anymore. Third offers the charm. And so it might be by the end of the month. It might be by the end of the month. We'll see. Okay, let's go to the third story of the day, which we kind of covered a little bit. Art Lover says, sometimes I think they like the dance. Well, they like getting that price up. Thanks, Benji. I was nervous about my hair today, so I'm glad you think it looks good. Mystic says, Fox had a bidding war with Universal and Disney. It started at $44 billion and it ended up at $70 billion. Oh, that's quite a dance. Zazzie's like, yeah, I can get a lot of money too. That's amazing. All right, hold on. Let me move my arrow. Boom, baby. All righty, here we go. You know, when pigs fly, things that we never thought would happen are happening. Here we go. And here's AMC. AMC and Netflix are friends. Now, you might recall that they hated each other, right? Oh, Steven says, yes, he saw an article about the $30 number. That's good. Okay, so yes, for a long time, AMC said, if you mentioned Netflix to AMC, they would spit. And they said, we hate them. They don't have a long enough window. So while other theaters would play Netflix content for a limited period of time, AMC absolutely refused. In fact, when K-Pop Demon Hunters first hit theaters for a sing-along in August, AMC was the one theater that sat it out. And again, as I said, K-pop Demon Hunters is a pivotal moment in the history of Netflix. You know, it's like not since House of Cards has there been that big of a game changer for them. And look what happened. K-pop Demon Hunters was #1. It was only playing in theaters for one weekend. The movie had already been playing on Netflix for weeks at this point. Weeks! And it still was #1 with $18 million, beating out major Hollywood films. So AMC was like, perhaps we were too hasty, because everybody likes money. So also, AMC has been a leader in thinking outside the box, right? With the Taylor Swift things. They have been the architect and partner with Taylor Swift, first for the Eras Tour, and then even most recently for the Life of a Showgirl official album release party. So I think they were like, what are we doing? We are the pioneers of thinking, you know, the 17-day window. That's a good point, Mystic. You know, it used to be that it was only a week in theaters, but this year Netflix has been doing basically a 17-day window. You know, like Frankenstein hit theaters October 17th for a November 7th release on the service. So not a lot of theaters, but some theaters. And so I think that that's helping as well. But I think AMC was like, what are we doing? You know, we're the ones who like pioneered this stuff, thinking outside the box. So why are we being so mean to Netflix? I think they didn't realize how much money was there. And then K-pop Demon Hunters showed them, right? All right. Also, I think the Hollywood market right now is awful. Just absolutely awful. I was just talking about this with other YouTubers. It is so bad right now. I don't think I've ever seen it this bad. It wasn't this bad during the pandemic. It wasn't this bad during the strikes. You know, when I was recently talking about Disney, one of you had a great comment, and you said you can make money off of excitement, you can make money off of anger, but you can't make money off of apathy. And that's where Hollywood is right now. It's just apathy. Hey, River Reich, thanks for joining. And I feel like there's just in Hollywood, and I do agree with Dane about quality. I think quality is a huge problem for Hollywood. A lot of their stuff is just mediocre. And I think people are like, you know, I can play video games or I can read comic books, right? Who just said that, right? When J. Jonah Jameson said that. I think you're being funny there, J. Jonah Jameson. But there's so many other things that you can do with your time. And also I think that streaming is top-notch quality. I mean, streaming is releasing 8 to 10 hour movies that couldn't be better. And then the stuff that's in theaters is pretty bad. Not to mention theater etiquette is just at a super low point. You know, I think I went to 2 movie theaters. Oh yeah, I went to 2 movie theaters last weekend. Both of them, I was like, not going back there for a while. It was a nightmare in both places. Don't worry, it wasn't my beloved AMC Lincoln Square, but it sure made me miss it. I was like, both these theaters were a disaster. So yeah, so I think that's a real problem. Then, of course, so what's going on here? So K-pop Demon Hunters is coming back for Halloween. It'll be in theaters for Halloween weekend because there's no big movie. So Netflix was like, let's put it back in theaters. Also for their awards, so for their awards campaign. They just want to keep K-pop Demon Hunters in the consciousness of voters. So not only is it going back in theaters, but as I said, it's the #1 costume for adults and kids. And those costumes are pretty good, I have to say. So the #1 Halloween costume, I'm shocked that people would think to dress up as these characters. Hey, Maria says, do you think that Netflix House could screen Stranger Things or any Netflix shows? I think people would want to attend a special event. You know, maybe they could have a party there afterwards. I think if they did that, AMC would go back to hating them. So I don't know if, maybe there could be a party after. So yeah, so not only are they having these 2 characters, but look at this. As I said, they just signed a deal today with both Netflix. But Netflix signed a deal with both Mattel and Hasbro for toys, games, and products, which means, by the way, they're making a new movie for sure. It is the new Frozen, Chico, 1000%. And Frozen has never gone away. It's been years, I think almost a decade, right? Wasn't Frozen in 2016? And It's never gone away. It's a theme park attraction. It's everything. And I think K-pop Demon Hunters is going that way. That's right. Where are the dolls? I mean, they're going to be huge. 2013? It's been over a decade. My goodness. That's incredible. And there's, of course, Frozen 3 and 4 coming. So very, very popular. Wow. So yeah, K-pop Demon Hunters. K-pop Demon Hunters, you might as well watch it because it's never going away. That should be a tagline. Resistance is futile. It is part of society now. What do you hate? That's like that funny Seinfeld quote where he talks about, you'd have to be a New Yorker to get it, but it's the Upper West Side versus the Upper East Side. And Kramer says to Jerry, he's like, what do you hate society, Jerry? Why don't you just move to the Upper East Side? Because the Upper East Side is considered very elitist. And so it's like, what do you hate society? You might as well watch K-pop Demon Hunters because it's going to be part of the fabric of pop culture forever. So this is amazing. And it's not from Disney. It's not from Disney. That and Wicked. That K-pop Demon Hunters and Wicked both exist and they're not Disney is shocking because Disney was out Disneyed by I mean, it's never happened before. I don't think we've ever seen it. You know, Disney can do other things, but, you know, they've had their sweet spots, animation and fantasy. So that two other studios were able to do it to the same degree with the same amount of success, I think I hope that it's a wake-up call to Disney, you know? It's just really incredible. Barbie's different. I think Barbie had too much political... I mean, actually, that's interesting, though. Barbie managed to do political and gender and society commentary in a way that, well, some people really got upset about it, but it was not too bad. It wasn't the backlash level of Disney. Joseph, we talked about that. I don't think Disney would buy Warner Brothers. I mean, I don't think it would be approved. It's too big. And then, so anyway, the reason we're talking about this specifically today is, you know, just a few days ago, last week, I said, you know, the Duffer Brothers did an interview and they said, we wanted the last Stranger Things movie to play in, episode to play in theaters. It's a 2-hour finale, the final episode of Stranger Things 5, and we wanted it in theaters. But Netflix said no. And they actually named the executive who said no. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe they named that lady. That's a real no-no to actually say her name. I think she's also the person who fired Zack Snyder. I'm not sure if it's the same person. But, like, good for her. I'm glad she's taking bold swings over there. I think this was a mistake on her part. But it's unusual to name the executive. You know, I think the Duffer Brothers didn't care because they were heading over to Paramount. So they're like, we don't care if she hates us. We're never coming back here. But let me just tell you, you shouldn't really name names. You know, I don't burn bridges, you know, unless like someone did something illegal to you, right? Like, you never know when you might have to go back over that bridge. Hollywood, every industry is very small. And so why would you do that to yourself? Can't you just say, oh yeah, Channing Tatum was right. Channing Tatum was right to name, but that's because I don't know. That's an interesting one. That's an interesting one. I agree with what Channing Tatum did. You got to be really careful though. Even maybe Channing Tatum shouldn't have done it, you know? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he should have, I don't know. But then I don't like how Rebecca Ferguson was going around saying someone was a jerk and nobody knows for sure who she's talking about. And, you know, it's very messy. Very, very messy. You got to be tough. You got to be careful. Thanks, Larry. I'm so glad. I'm glad I'm on your life journey with you. Okay, so anyway. So when we were discussing the Stranger Things situation, I said, the internet said mistake, and it's so obviously a mistake, and especially after you see, I mean, by the way, this lady said that before K-pop Demon Hunters was doing really well in theaters. So I said, the internet got so upset when they found out that they could have seen Stranger Things in theaters that Netflix will change its mind. And I said that like a week ago, less than a week ago, and sure enough, here we are. So I'm very proud of that. And it's going to be exactly what I said. It'll play simultaneously in theaters and on streaming. So it'll be in both places. It's not going to be either or. And you'll get to pick the experience that you want. I'm curious to see how it does at the box office, especially because it is available at home. But I'm very curious to see how many people decide to go and see it in theaters with an audience. That could be really incredible. And of course, as some of you are saying, Avatar will be in theaters at that point. So what will it do to Avatar? Very, very interesting. Thank you, Maria. Thank you very much. So it's a really interesting situation. All right, long stream, long stream. Hold on, let me close. Does anybody questions or comments about this before we get to the Q&A? Oh, thanks, Classic Movie Lover. You guys are very nice. Thank you. Steven says he would rather watch at home, but maybe he'll go again and see it in theaters. Wiki Nomad, the episode that would go to theaters is the final one, the one that comes out on New Year's Day. That's kind of fun to go on New Year's Day to the theater and see Stranger Things, the finale with an audience. That's a pretty nice idea. That's real, and the whole couple of days. I think that's pretty good if you can avoid spoilers. I think that's a really nice. That's such a nice way to end it. Oasis, it's difficult for me because I have to cover it. So it would be stressful. You know, I'd be like, I gotta cover it, you know? I don't know what I would do. I'd have to think about it. I'd have to see if my family would be interested in it. I don't even know if they'd be caught up at that point. So let's see what happens. But it would just be that final 2-hour episode, which is perfect. Perfect. That's right, Jonah Jameson. What if it sucks? I don't think it's going to suck. And we'll have a pretty good idea by the episodes that come before it. Any other thing about this? I think you guys are ready for the Q&A. Isaac says, sometimes I want to rewatch a whole movie but don't have the money, so having both options is so good. Yeah, you know, as we've been saying, I think the K-Pop Demon Hunters, the first movie, probably would have made a lot of money, but I don't think it would have blown up quite as fast as it did. I mean, I don't know, Frozen did. But I mean, like, you could watch K-Pop Demon Hunters like 4 times. I watched it twice in the same weekend that it came out because I watched it and then I had to go watch it with somebody else because I was like, have you seen this thing? And so I watched it again with them. That's what I think. Oasis, I don't have time to rewatch all of Stranger Things. I got to watch all these other things for work. My job is to watch stuff. I like to joke sometimes and be like, these 5 episodes of Welcome to Derry aren't going to watch themselves. And so it's good work if you can get it. I have a good time. Callisto says, I would love to see the finale in IMAX. I think the tickets would sell out immediately. They're going to go fast. It's going to be a lot like when Wicked goes on sale and stuff like that, especially if you want to see it in a premium format. Could you see it in a premium format? Or is Disney going to be like, I don't think so. Like, how are they going to get those Avatars? But Avatar comes out 2 weeks beforehand. So maybe they could get the premium screens, which would suck for Avatar, boy. But boy, if I'm going to go see Stranger Things, the last episode ever in IMAX, or at least for like 5 to 10 years, I mean, in theaters, I want to see it on a premium screen. Like, I could only get, because my dad loves Wicked, I could only get tickets for us to go in an afternoon showing, but we going on a premium screen. All right, where's the Q&A? I'm a little sick, so I don't know if you've noticed my voice. Also, I put the filter on because there was like an air hum that some people were hearing, and I was really bothering me. So I felt bad about that. So, all right, 10 minutes. Let's see. So iReady says Netflix has variety. It has content from true crime to high quality adult animations and reality TV. It's a broad appeal from iReady. What do you want? You're like writing their like mission statement there. I love it. Netflix is very formidable. Future movie actor says, wondering how the heck to work out the dissonance between the internet says what people actually get into. Certainly on many different. Oh yeah. Well, that's because of bots. I think bots and the algorithm are really warping reality. I'm concerned about it. Thanks everybody. I was supposed to get a flu shot and I had to delay it. I had such a bad flu last year. I had 103 temperature. I don't think I've ever been that sick. So I used to not get flu shots. But I'm like, I'm not going through that again. What's for dinner, Ryan? The salmon I had to cook yesterday so it wouldn't go bad. Salmon with avocado. Me likes a no inflammation dinner. Let's see here. Danny, I will be covering Welcome to Derry weekly. At least I'll start out doing it weekly. We'll see how it does. Thank you, Wiki Nomad. That's very generous of you yet again. Nico says, Grace, why do you think movies stopped doing huge numbers overseas? I think it's because marketing insists on premium formats, but there are no real premium screens over. You guys don't have Dolby and IMAX. What the heck are you doing over there? Are you watching it like on the side of a building? That's crazy. Although I must say, when I've been to theaters in Europe, you don't really do have premium. It's a very different experience, you know? It's like not nearly as commercial. Like the theaters, like in America, movie theaters are like these like beacons, you know? And like when I go to Europe, the movie theaters are kind of tucked away. You're like, oh yeah, that's a movie theater. Although I went to a gorgeous movie theater in London. Where was it? It was a beautiful thing. I think it was down Notting Hill. Yes, there's a Notting Hill theater. Sorry, I just got an important text. You might be like, what the heck happened? I'll tell you what the theater is. There were some horribly behaved children in it, and it was so bad. The kids were so bad that I had to go to the manager and say that if you don't get these kids to behave, we're going to ask for all our money back. They were that bad. I've never seen children behave that poorly in a movie theater. I've never seen it. Yes. What is this? It's an old Notting. Oh, the Electric. Did someone say the Electric? Yes. Yes, you were right. The Electric. You guys know it. Okay, so here, I'll show it to you. So here it is. It has these gorgeous recliners and little lamps. And my mother surprised us, and they were playing Elf, which is one of my favorite Christmas movies. And so we went to see it there, and it was incredible. But so the Electric, if you're ever in London, go to the Electric. It's an amazing experience. But the problem is they have like these like little things you can lie on in the front, you know. And I rented this for some kids, and these kids had zero interest in watching the movie. So they were running around. They were literally hopping in front of people. It was like they were giant mice. It was incredible. I can't believe their parents were probably like, we don't have to deal with them for like 2 hours, so that's great. I think all the other movie theater goers were just like, I just can't believe this is happening to us. Joseph says, when do you think we'll get the first trailer for Masters of the Universe? I'm not sure. Probably not for a while, because they're probably wondering what they're going to do about Jared Leto. Because they're like, we don't need everybody to bring that up. Juan, I think the Springsteen movie's going to tank. I will review it. I couldn't go to the press screening yesterday. I had a doctor's appointment, but I will go. I'm going to see it this week, and I'll review it at the end of the week. Steven says, do you plan to watch the new Ryan Murphy shows All Fair? Probably not. That's just, I think, a little bit not enough of a real show to me. But I do like Tiana Taylor. So, good for her. Carlos says, The Diplomat Season 3. Wow, you're not kidding. Right? It's so good. I'm so glad they're working on Season 4 already. I can't wait. Movie TV Review says, hey, Grace, do you think that Gal Gadot's acting career is really over? Yes, I do. I think it's definitely over. That's all right. She had a great run. And, maybe someday she'll come back and play Hippolyta for someone else to be Wonder Woman. And then also she has a lot of other businesses that she and her husband are involved in. She's going to be just fine. Oh, look, Tigress is also having salmon. Good for you. Interloper says, speaking of mediocre movies, well, I have no idea how Shelby Oaks is going to do. We'll see. I'll certainly try and keep an eye out for it on Movie Math. And I'm sorry I didn't mention it. I check a couple of websites to know what's coming out, and oddly, it was not listed, which is why I didn't mention it when I said what was coming out this week. Dream says, have you been enjoying Only Murders? Yeah, I've been particularly enjoying Meryl Streep on it. I've seen every episode but the last one, so I'm curious to see who the murderer is. But I think it's a, I think it's better than the last season. Let me put it that way. Oh, Wace, I'm glad you made it. And as I just said, I'm looking forward to it. Stasis says, would Sony buy Warner Brothers? Where did that go? I saw an article saying Sony is interested in their studio gaming and streaming assets, but not their cable network. I'd be surprised if Sony bought it. I mean, they haven't been mentioned in any conversations, but, let's see. Zazzy's definitely trying to get every possible, he's trying to get all the potential offers out. Meki says, which in development Star Wars movie do you think will truly bring the franchise back to theaters with big box office? Well, let me see a real Mandalorian and Grogu trailer, I thought that the first one was weird. Like I said, it seemed more like an industry reel than it did an actual trailer for audiences. So let's see an actual trailer. Jesus says, hey, Grace. Oh, that's very nice of you to say. That's very nice. Thank you. Thank you. Maria says, what's your favorite line from Elf? So many of them. I think I just recently used, that's shocking. I like that one. I also like Son of a Nutcracker. I think that's great. It's shot in New York, and it's shot like where I grew up, so I know all the locations in it, so it's particularly magical for me. So I just really love Elf. Travis's first super chat. Thank you. Have you seen the new season of Rick and Morty? Oh no, I'm so sorry. I have not. I don't watch Rick and Morty. Episode 7 is the new season 8 is about James Gunn and writing movies. Okay, was that the one where Scott Snyder was on it too, right? I heard about that. Floppy Disk Channel says, who are you rooting for on Tar? Amazing Race is so good this year. Oh, and I haven't watched the new season of The Amazing Race. Is it good? I'll have to go and check it out. Hi to you too, busy man. Oh, you're busy? I appreciate that you made some time to come in and say hi. And I like your diamond badge there. I'm seeing you guys like my giant mice comparison there. Paul says, what do you think of Jim Caviezel being recast? You're talking about Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ sequel. Jim Caviezel will not return to play Jesus, which is super weird because Jim Caviezel is a really odd guy. He's very conspiracy theory based. So if even he won't work with Mel Gibson, like what the heck's going on there? My honest reaction to that is don't make it. I mean, if Jim Caviezel's not going to be in it, and as problematic as Mel Gibson is, I don't even see what the point is. Although, let's see. Mel Gibson, as disgusting and horrible a person as Mel Gibson is, he is an extremely talented director. Charles, I did see that about that poor streamer at TwitchCon. It's horrifying that that person got as far as he did before security intervened. And I totally understand where a lot of female streamers and streamers in general are coming from on that. VTV Psycho says, Grace, have you seen After the Hunt? No, I have not, and I'm not going. It looks really like. I have to tell you, I take my voting very seriously, but there are some films that I'm just like, it's so bad, I'm not going to vote for it, and it's not a good use of my time to watch it. I'm waiting. More screeners are starting to trickle in, so I'm very excited. To start watching some of those movies. Waste. The Summer I Turned Pretty was in the overall on the Nielsen's. That's great. And then Ivan says, can you recommend any scary movies for a Halloween watch party? Well, I think Scream is always fun. Or you should watch the It movie to get ready for the new Welcome to Derry show. That's a great thing to watch. It's long, though. I think for a watch party, you want something campy that's very interactive. Future movie actress says, I'm very interested to find out which new Wicked for Good song is the favorite to win the award. Well, we got to hear him. We got to hear him. And Nico says, hey, Grace, I just wanted to tell you that you inspired me to start a cinema account on Instagram. Oh, that's great. You're doing great. Been following you since middle school. Love from Argentina. I love it. I love the global BTT community. I'm very honored to inspire you. Oh, that Maria, that's a good one too. I'm singing. I'm in a store and I'm singing. That's funny. I'm glad a lot of you like Elf as well. Dream. I watched one episode of The Girlfriend and it seemed so all over the place. I was like, man, I'm not gonna watch. You know, again, I got a lot to watch. And Akana has a good comment. Well, finish on Akana's comment. Of all the options for Warner Brothers purchase, Akana would be the least appalled if it was Netflix. I like that. The least appalling option. I think, you know, that's true. That's great. We'll see what happens. I'm sure we'll be discussing it over the next few weeks. It's very interesting. It's really, but you know, a moment of silence for the people who actually are involved in this, because I'm sure it's extremely stressful, and I feel bad for all the people who are losing their jobs. A lot of people at Paramount are about to get fired. It's going to be a real bloodbath. They said they're going to be really firing a lot of people. And there are a lot of wonderful people at Warner Brothers, some of them already fired because, you know, Zazzy's been trying to make it very lean. And it's very hard, you know, it's hard to transition out of Hollywood. There's not a lot of crossover with the industry, with somebody else, you know, like where else are you going to go and get a job? And it's very scary. So we'll see what happens, you know. Again, I don't know what the corporate world's plan is for humanity. I know that they're consumers, but as people are saying, they have to make a living to be able to buy stuff. So I think there's that stupid universal income idea, but I don't like that at all. I think people need to feel they have purpose. And we'll see what happens. All right, everybody, thank you for joining me. I will see you very soon. And again, tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time, my Welcome to Derry review, no spoilers, will go up. All right, see you soon. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.